Hello. There you go. Killed the music, but let's get into today's show. Hello, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and that's what powers the ohmTown Daily News Show. We are doing September 23rd's episode. September 23rd, 2022. This marks episode 266 in a row. I started here in January, so it's kind of a big deal every day that I make it another day. You never know when the asteroid is going to hit. What is ohmTown? It's a news aggregator built for me initially, but I launched it publicly in January of this year and started this show, and I go over the news that it gathers. I do this basically all day long for a multitude of people, and well, I wear plenty of hats, and so I became mayor of ohmTown. I do it so you don't have to. The news aggregator throws a bunch of stuff into 6 main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology, and then into 50 channels, all of which I want to eventually bring to Twitch. So yeah, I've already selected all of the articles, so let's get into it. This is something that I've revisited twice before, and Oberlin College will pay over $36 million to the bakery that alleged the school aided a false claim of racism. So it wasn't alleged, it was actually supported. I think maybe the source, it's from the ABA Journal, so maybe they don't want to really commit to that statement, but as far as I know, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this. Well, anyway, this Ohio bakery, Gibsons Bakery, was basically accused of being racist and quote unquote racially profiling. Oh my gosh, there is so much stuff loading into this website that and then it just refreshed. Okay, let's just calm down there, website. Anyway, Deborah Cassens-Weiss is the author of this article over at the ABA Journal. It actually is an older article, and so something must have happened in here that they've updated it, but I don't see anything that really makes a difference. But anyway, jurors actually awarded $44.4 million to Gibsons Bakery in 2019. This was an update in September, but their award was reduced to $25 million, and the amount the amount needed to be paid is including attorney's fees and interest. I'm not sure how much are going to go to the attorneys, but it is what it is. But it says here Oberlin College will pay $36.59 million to an Ohio bakery, claiming that it was defamed when the school's officials supported students who accused the business of racial profiling. Yeah, I think yeah, accusations are dangerous. So, and we as a society need to understand that accusations are dangerous. There's not much more to this, but you can go follow that link over to ohmTown. It'll take you to the actual source. What happens is you go over to ohmTown.com following that link, and then you click on visit the source. All of this was kind of aggregated, it was aggregated by what I refer to as Gatherer, who gets a whole bunch of news from various sources and compiles it into this massive list for me to be able to parse throughout my day. Let me fix something there. There we go. At any rate, let's get into the next article. Kenan Thompson resumes nationwide talent search, adding virtual reality and a hologram to the hunt. TV News Roundup. is the source of this. But fresh off his gig hosting this year's Primetime Emmys, comedian and SNL veteran Kenan Thompson is back on stage Thursday night in Atlanta as he kicks off the 13th edition of his Kenan Presents the Ultimate Comedy Showcase. And this time it has a few technological wrinkles. Apparently, virtual reality and hologram. So let's click this link. It takes us over to variety.com. EJ Panaligan, or Panaligan. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. I'm not sure where the inflection is. But that's the author of this article. And wow, all kinds of wacky stuff loads up on pages now. I made some changes to my infrastructure and wow, everything is just 95% ads. At any rate, Kenan Thompson is really one of the anchors of SNL. The stand-up comedy search, which leads off at the Atlanta Comedy Theater on September 22nd, that was yesterday, follows Thompson as he scouts for adult comedians and talented kids in more than 50 cities, among the new elements all around the country. They've added virtual reality options for participants to partake in the metaverse through the Failed to Render Comedy Club. All right. In addition, Thompson partnered with Proto to be able to join live shows through the metaverse as a digital hologram, attending showcases digitally to accommodate his busy schedule via Proto's 4K hologram device. And there's a whole bunch more over at variety.com. I won't go into all of the specifics, but those technical and social aspects of it are quite interesting. You can go anywhere in virtual space. I don't know if I would do it in Meta's metaverse, but I wish that everybody would just pull metaverse away from it being defined by Meta. Just kind of gets me bent out of shape, folks. The next article is over on the Smack Talk channel. Satachi's new multi-port USB-C dock. Whenever you say USB dock, you have to be very specific. And even when you say USB-C dock, it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. Is it connected by a USB-C connector, or does it provide USB-C docking features so that you can plug things in USB-C? Sometimes things get a little quirky there. Kind of, I'll just click the link. So let's just go over to the source. This is over at Apple Insider by Andrew Orr, is the author of that. And so it looks like it has your standard USB-C connector, and then it has breakouts for regular USB, HDMI, USB-C, maybe a mini jack over at the end there. But each port is labeled for easy access and includes a 2.5 gig Ethernet, which that's pretty good. Wow. HDMI 2.1, two USB-C 3.2 Gen, two 10 gigabit ports, one of which has PD 2.0. So you can do a higher rate and smarter charging, and a USB-A data port for up to 10 gigs. Oh, and I'm right. And it's an audio jack off to the end. I thought maybe it was power or something else. But USB-C powers it. Satachi says the headphone jack supports audio input and output, and is USB 2. It says USB 2 quality. So it looks like it's $150. And if you use Apple Insider's code, not my code, I have nothing to do with them. If you use their code USB4 until September 30th, you'll get 20% off. So go and check out this article for more specifics on Satachi's new multi-port USB-C dock with a 2.5 gig Ethernet port, if you still use Ethernet. This next article I thought was really interesting. I've been watching this develop in various sources, not really talking about it, but it's Oatly's big idea grant for coffee is back and bigger than ever. Oatly a milk replacement, basically. Which, well, I always qualify it as, never mind, I won't say it. Oatly's grant program returns for a second year. It's fairly new, obviously. Its second year is supposed to bring something like $400,000, I think it is. Yeah. So Oatly's Big Idea Grant for Coffee is back now. Year 2, the Big Idea Grant for Coffee continues its initiative to fund sustainability projects from small US-based coffee companies. This go around, according to the article, the Swedish oat milk company is promising up to $400,000 in potential total grant funding for the initiative, and applications opened on September 21st. Why this is in my aggregator on the 23rd, even though it only grabs things within the last 24 hours, means that this was probably edited at some point in the last 24 hours. Zach Cadwallader over at sprudge.com is the author of this. And I don't know of any other things. You can actually go, and if you go to the article, it'll link to additional winners. Last year's winners include 1A Coffee, 321 Coffee, which I guess there's a theme here in numbers, Academic Coffee, 3 Keys Coffee, Don Carvajal Cafe, Build Coffee, and Junior's Roasted Coffee. So it says here, ideas have included a free grocery delivery service for the community, footprint shrinking measures like going fully solar, as well as fair pay initiatives across the supply chain. How about everybody? That should not be that should not be an initiative. Fair pay should just be part and parcel to the operation of business. But I digress. The next article, pardon me one second. The next article is over in the Order of the Grape channel, which is about wine, but this actually has a specific spirit called Cognac. And it says here that the results are in. So I'm just going to jump straight over to vinepair.com. That's the source. Catherine Alex Bevan is the author of this. And you may not be a drinker, but competition is competition. I like to see a good game. And I also like to see Pebble Ice. And that's what that is right there. I've been wanting a Pebble Ice machine so bad. I only have an ice maker that drops glaciers or crushed ice that really isn't chewable in any way, shape, or form, whereas Pebble Ice usually is. We have a place called Sonic here in the States. Some people who hear this, actually, according to the podcast, there's a lot of people all over the place that are not here in the United States that might appreciate Pebble Ice from Sonic, because it is the most chewable ice I've ever had. And a lot of people consider that pretty much the de facto chewable ice. And by a lot of people, it's purely anecdotal. There's no science here. It's just a claim from me that it is the most chewable ice. At any rate, this is the Cognac Connection Challenge winners. And they have a bunch of winning cocktails here. Grant Jacobs Alouette won the grand prize. I don't know if they're going to have the whole... yeah, they're not going to have the recipes in here, which is kind of frustrating. Maybe if you click this link to go to the cognacconnection.com challenge. So it's cognacconnection.com/cognac connection challenge. Yeah, it rolls right off. Why not just make it 3 C's? I don't know. Anyway, I don't think that they actually have the recipe posted. So anyway, this is going to be interesting to read if you're into this kind of thing, but I'm not sure if you'll get much out of it. Maybe they have it on their Instas, because their name links to their Instagram account. Sarah Troxel took second, I guess, right? Grand prize. Oh, so several people got grand prizes. Alouette, 99 Aloha shirts and a tiny umbrella. That's, I guess, the name of the spirit, and tiny umbrella is, I think, it might actually be a spirit. I don't know. It doesn't say, which is kind of disappointing. John Ware, Cognac, and Chamomilla. Interesting. Justin Brody. They're tasting notes, but really it's going to be this article would take me forever to parse and read it. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in this kind of thing, go and check out the makers, not only the makers of the drink that won the challenge, but also maybe if you follow the links that they provide, you'll be able to get the recipes themselves. And sorry that they didn't have it already embedded. I don't read the articles before, so you get to read the news sort of as I parse through it real quick and talk about it, give it some context within the boundaries of ohmTown. This one is interesting. It's titled "Bumblebees Can Be Classified as Fish Under California Conservation Law," according to a court. In a move that could allow a broad range of insects to be considered for endangered species status, the state Supreme Court has found that California bumblebees can be protected under the law as a type of fish. Yes, airfish that sting you once. I have been stung several times by airfish in yellow and black jackets. Bumblebees can be classified as fish under California conservation law, court says. Luis Sahagan, yeah, I think is their last name. Anyway, in a move that could allow a broad range of insects to be considered for endangered species status, the California Supreme Court, has found that California bumblebees can be protected. The decision, which may carry deep consequences for the state's agriculture industry, focuses on the arcane wording and complicated legal history of the California Endangered Species Act, a precursor to the federal law. So it said, the court said late Wednesday that it would not hear arguments over whether the California Fish and Game Commission can consider granting protections to a number. It would not, really. To a number of bumblebee species whose populations are in steady decline. For the last 3 years, state almond growers, builders, and pesticide companies have been arguing that bumblebees were exempt from listing because the state conservation law does not mention insects. That's right, folks. You can get away with anything and everything unless it is specifically enumerated in a law. To hell with the spirit of a law or ethics or a moral compass. If you want to eliminate the entire bee, everything associated with bees, like you are Thanos and snapping them out of existence, a California law will let you because it's not enumerated as a species that can be protected by endangered species status. Oh, and I'm going to continue to live in a desert, but draw so much water from other states that it drains them dry and is a complete waste because I want to live here where it's supposedly really good to have these. It's all batshit crazy, for crying out loud. We're losing our bees. The things that pollinate everything, we'll have to rely on other insects like, I don't know, wasps who hate human beings unless you absolutely leave them alone. I spoke about this a while back. And in another forum somewhere, I can't remember exactly where it was, I had like 30 wasps inside my deck umbrella. When I opened it up, they fell down on me. Many flew away. Others looked at me like, hey, I am going to kill you next time. Maybe I'm overstating. Anyway, We were elated with the California Supreme Court decision, says Serena Jepson, endangered species director with the Xerxes Society for Invertebrate Conservation. Now, some of the California's most endangered pollinators may be saved from extinction. Good. It should not be money at all costs. It just doesn't make any sense. Hey, let's wipe out species after species, and we can tie it to the very activities that these companies are partaking in, yet the very life in all of these areas of society are built really around bees going around and pollinating or doing something else to facilitate so many things that humans do. Oh my God, I could probably go and find a list of everything that a bee does for mankind. Personkind. Let me just be a little bit more non-specific. We all know that mankind is this category of humans, but whatever. Some dude came up with that, probably. Anyway, so California, like many things, California leads the way in terms of trying to protect the environment, yet does something wonky like allowing a desert farming where you have to spray water on things constantly, and the carbon footprint for cows and stuff is massive when they're not allowed to just free roam somewhere. Anyway, I won't go into all of that stuff, but at any rate, I don't even know what I was talking about anymore. Let's move on to the next article. In in what I thought was going to happen, yet the attorneys that I've actually sent this to go, "You're kidding." No, not kidding. Johnny Depp apparently is dating the lawyer who represented him in his defamation trial. And everybody who was watching this knew it was coming. I don't think a single attorney who was watching that said, "No, he'll never." No. I'm not an attorney, by the way. And I'll say what I say to everybody when I start talking about law. I am not an attorney, and I don't represent you. And even if I was an attorney, I don't represent you. And nothing that I say is considered or should be considered as legal advice. If you have a legal need, find a lawyer in your area and in the specialty that you need. And believe me, you want a specialist. As an attorney, as several attorneys have said it now, they generally get it right. Anyway, this was posted initially over at Above the Law, and it says, "The pair found love on the high seas of litigation." I guess maybe if everything that Heard was saying was true, there will be another lawsuit coming. Stacy Zaretsky is the author of this over at AboveTheLaw.com. And they write, "We know what you're thinking, and we'll come right out and say it. No, not that lawyer, and no, not that defamation trial. The lawyer you're probably thinking of is Camille Vasquez of Brown Rudnick, who represented Depp in the court in Virginia. During his weeks-long defamation trial against his ex-wife Amber Heard, the press went wild with speculation that the famed actor was dating Vasquez. But guess what? It's not. The lawyer who Depp is actually dating is, what was the other dude's name? Man, that would have been awesome. The lawyer who Depp is actually dating is Joel Rich, the Schilling's partner who represented the star during his defamation trial in the UK against The Sun. Look at that. Juke just went left and right, and everybody thinking it was going up the middle, and he actually went, I don't know, straight up. I don't know. The lawyer who Depp is actually dating is Joel Rich. the Schilling's partner who represented the star during that defamation case in the UK against the Sun. It says it's serious between them. They are the real deal, according to a source. Wow. So, at any rate, everybody and their grandmother was talking about the attorney in the U.S., Camille Vasquez, and every attorney that I dropped this little nugget on said, "You're kidding." Yeah, I am. Anyway, here in the States, it's largely frowned upon, but there isn't any rule apparently. Because when I heard about this, I went digging. Is it even possible? Is it allowed? And there's always these catch-alls, but apparently, once they are no longer a client, the only thing that stops someone is the optics. And if the relationship existed before the litigation, it might be allowed to, that attorney may be allowed to still represent them. If they're in a firm, or if they're a solo practitioner, it largely doesn't matter. But if they're in a firm, whoever the principals are of the firm may have an issue with an attorney dating their client. But even that is apparently allowed, although again, frowned upon. So maybe state by state, it's taken into consideration and by the various state bars, but the American Bar Association apparently doesn't have any issues with it, based on what I read. And there is a code of ethics and all of that kind of stuff out there. So maybe I'll stumble across some more people talking about it and saying, what? Because I thought that was a spectacular, whatchamacallit, clickbait title. Johnny Depp dating lawyer represented him in defamation trial, because there's been several of them. Anyway, the next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. Ether is down almost 20% since the merge. And it moved from one methodology to another methodology to lower the carbon footprint. But it was known that it was going to happen, apparently. I don't know about its history that much, but it says here that Ether is down almost 20% since the merge. Oh no, is this not going to let me read the article? No, it's not. Oh my God. I'll just have to leave it alone. I have something weird going on with this, so I'll have to fix it. Fix it later. We'll address this again. Anyway, Ether is down almost 20% since the merge. The next article is over in the Word in Tech. And first single crystal organometallic perovskite optical fibers were created in a lab. And it says here, due to their very high efficiency in transporting electric charges from light, perovskites are known as the next generation material for solar panels and LED displays. A team led by Dr. Lai Su at Queen Mary University of London now have invented a brand new application of perovskites as optical fibers. And the results were published in Science Advances. And this is written or put together by Queen Mary, not the Queen Mary, the University of London, Queen Mary. And it says here, optical fibers are tiny wires as thin as human hair. Thought they were thinner than that. In which light travels at super fast speed, 100 times faster than electrons in cables. These tiny optical fibers transmit the majority of internet data. True, and it's quite interesting how they do it nowadays. But instead of just one beam of light traveling down the line, there's a multitude, and there's receivers and transmitters that change it from light to data. Conventional, usable, non-photonic data. And it's all kinds of customization in the frequencies of the light. It's quite fascinating. Well, at any rate, it says at present, most optical fibers are made of glass. That's true. And an interesting thing about this glass is that it isn't solid. Um, the perovskite optical fiber made by Dr. Su's team consists of just one piece of perovskite crystal. The optical fibers have a core width as low as 50 microns and are very flexible. They can be bent to a radius of 3.5 millimeters, which I think is actually it's lower than current fiber optics. Compared to the polycrystal counterparts, single crystal organometallic perovskites are more stable, more efficient, more durable, and have fewer defects. Scientists have therefore been seeking to make single crystal perovskite optical fibers that can bring this high efficiency to optical or fiber optics. So this will be interesting to see if it even comes into vogue in technology. I'm not quite sure where, because this is just now lab developed, and converting something developed in the lab is akin to a car maker saying that they have a prototype. It's really easy to build that prototype, even spending a mint to make it happen. And then you roll it out to people and say, "Ooh, look what I did." But then it never hits manufacturing. And that's the same thing with these lab experiments. You have to treat them as pure experimentation. Maybe it'll spin out as a company. There's various universities that work with this private-public partnership type of thing, and you do technology sharing and might spin it out as a business. It's happened quite often with the startup world. They come up with something and bring it out to market. We right now really hear about Silicon Valley type of startup sectors, businesses, mainly because they are, compared to something like this, they're very easy to spin up. A Silicon Valley software engineering, etc. type of business has very low barriers to entry, but something like this is very, very expensive to launch. And it's usually grant funded until it can actually find somebody to pay for it. Google started as a grant funded research project and bloomed into that. So go and check out this article over at phys.org. The next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel. I selected this one because I just don't know what to think of it, because a Wharton professor, Jeremy Siegel, says Jerome Powell is making one of the biggest policy mistakes in the Fed's 110-year history, and it could lead to a major recession. And that's because the Fed raised the interest rate by 0.75 and even warned that sometime this year, they too will raise it again. And frankly, I think that they're going to raise it again by at least 0.25. But they haven't hinted at what it was going to be, the Fed. Well, the Fed is making the same exact mistake it made a year ago, and possibly the biggest mistake in its history. That's according to Jeremy Siegel, who criticized the Fed's inability to recognize inflation is coming easing. What? To recognize inflation is coming easing. Inflation is coming easing? What are they trying to say? It makes absolutely no sense. The quote here, it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Way too tight, Siegel said. Yeah, no. Actually, I mean, there's too much money in the system, and that's why we are where we are. And too many mega corporations that are controlling the supply chain, that are controlling the supplier index. mergers and acquisitions have led to all of that contained and constrained wealth in an upper echelon of people who don't give one iota a care until their bottom line is being hit. So they don't care if they make more money year after year after year, even if there is a multitude of people that are harmed, priced out for a simple meal. Obviously it didn't matter that a large amount of the baby food, baby formula entire sector was wiped out by one company. Businesses don't care about that because all they want is the money. And they were happy with that constrained competition. Try and start up a baby formula business and you will not be able to. And the lobbyists that made it possible to get to this point where no competition can come onto the market without being a $1 trillion company or something like that, a multi-billion-dollar company or a $1 trillion company. It's regulatory capture, and it's easy to catch 100 senators versus the House. Anyway, all of this big business stuff. So the inflation rate is going up. Is it the worst that it's going to be? Nope. Is it too tight? Nope. They're going to keep on squeezing. And what needs to take place is taxing the rich and giving all of the proceeds to infrastructure and to education and to businesses that are in need, and equity and inclusion in markets where people who could be very capable are hobbled because that particular sector of geography is consisting of low population with limited taxes. So people can't get good jobs. They can't get good education. They're priced out of college. I mean, so many things. But I guarantee you this person isn't worried about inflation in the commonality of inflation. They're worried about the profit margin from investments. So what's going to end up happening is what's happening now. The stock market is plunging. Right now it's down 500. Even Bitcoin is now below 19,000. I anticipate that happening again come Monday or Tuesday, actually. I think that, if it does come back up, it's going to be flat. And then the next day it's going to drop again because people are they're mitigating their losses. They're not trying to make a profit. Some people will regardless, because I honestly think that people trade on insider information to a great degree, while a lot of people guess as well. But I don't know. It just doesn't rise to the level where an investigation takes place. So let's click this link. It'll take us over to businessinsider.com, and Matthew Fox is the author of this. And this is Jeremy Siegel, professor of finance at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. It's a very, how do you put it, revered school for those in business. And the people that it pumps out aren't necessarily revered. But anyway, this person says, and if you're watching the VOD or the YouTube video, this here is Jeremy Siegel, and he's trying to draw home the point by pointing into the air exactly where the Fed made its 100-year history, since he's been there for 110 years. Just kidding. It says here, the last 2 years are one of the biggest policy mistakes in the 110-year history of the Fed by staying so easy when everything was booming. What do you think? Do you really think that anybody's going to step in while everything is great? That's not how it works. When everything started going bad, that's when people kicked in back in 2008, back in 2012. Again and again, it's private profit and public risk instead of giving money to the public. And now when there is money being given straight to the public, all hell is breaking loose. And it's the end of the world now that interest rates are going up. But I can tell you, the people that are suffering, and I don't think that this person is really losing sleep over the 99% losing money. No, the biggest people, the bulk of people that are going to be impacted by this are the people who don't have the money to weather this. So where really are we trying to find a solution? Because otherwise what should be happening is taxing the rich. I think at the moment that you start taxing people all the way up the chain and not suddenly lowering it after a certain amount, I mean, everybody is paying somewhere between 15 and 35% interest. But then after a certain point, there's no real impact, and it's dashed away from taxation by the ultra rich. Us not ultra rich don't pay taxes the same way that the ultra rich do. We can't gift a multi-billion-dollar company to somebody or to an organization so that we don't have to pay taxes on it. And still be a billionaire at the end of the day. So to sit there and say, well, they should have been in their time machine and putting downward pressure, yeah, on everybody who did manage to get a good deal on investments and on their houses and on loans and on blah, blah, blah. Now they're trying to stop the irrationality, but it's already too late. There's too many sociopaths in control. This is just driving me nuts. And finally, the last article for today is going to be Elon Musk has more than 20 direct reports at Tesla. It says here, who are they? I was really curious about this. That's why I clicked on the title. I've only seen this so far. So Musk will need to lean on these deputies at Tesla, or as Tesla brings two new factories into full production and tries to fulfill elusive goals in service and self-driving. So let's click this link. Really don't need to go into too much of this, but it says here, it's written by Laura Kolodny and Gabriel Cortez, and it's over at cnbc.com. And it says here, about 22% of the CEO's direct reports are now based in Texas. Around half are still based in California. And more than 90% are men. Musk will need to lean on these deputies as Tesla brings new factories in Germany, Austin, Texas, to full production, and Grünheide. And what? Hold on a second. I know a bit of German, but really interesting. Maybe there's some other idiomatic meaning to that word, but verify. I'm sorry, this is probably boring you. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it means green health when it's combined like that. Anyway, so I know that this means grün means green. I've always heard it as pronounced as green. So anyway, sorry, this is a total side thing. I'm probably people are probably going, what the hell is going on with this stream? Anyway, so I was curious about all of the people that are under Elon Musk. Obviously, I don't work for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I don't think that I would really have it in me to be that way. Although when I was younger, yeah, I've launched several businesses. Anyway, nothing this big, obviously. Probably my biggest was hobbled really early in its formation by somebody else. That's a side note. I'm sorry. So anyway, Elon Musk has run two ambitious tech companies at the same time ever since he became chair and later CEO of electric vehicle maker Tesla. Yeah, he bought into Tesla. And all these other Neuralink and Boring and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know what to think of those. With his attention divided, Musk relies on a large team of deputies, more than 20 people today. Apparently, these are all over the place. Elon Musk's direct reports, since he's either going to have to buy or pay Twitter. Maybe there's going to be 30 direct reports here. At any rate, go over to cnbc.com and check out these direct reports because they are all over. They are all over the place. And then like under those people, the direct reports are like 15 people. I don't know many companies that operate like that. But maybe I have a very limited understanding of how many people a CEO wants directly reporting to them. I think the highest number of direct reports underneath one of the direct reports is 28, and that's Joe Ward, the vice president, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. They're located in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. 28 direct reports under that person. Yikes. Anyway, go check it out. And I'm done for today. I towards the end of this stream, I got really distracted. So I'm sorry. I'll clean up my act. Yeah, I think I'm a little distracted. So I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. sharp. Bye-bye.